If there's one thing that I loved more than video games as a kid, it was Legos. If I wasn't spending countless hours building and playing with my sets, I was messing around with the video games. To this day, the Complete Saga remains as one of my favorite video games of all time, and I have many precious childhood memories from playing it. But getting back on track, LEGO is filled with unlimited choices on how you can make a story. You can either make an epic adventure with your bricks, or simply go nuts. Naturally, this created automatic obstacles for the LEGO Movie. Although I wasn't concerned with a movie like this as a kid, this created worry when I decided to revisit it 7 years later. I feared that a movie I watched constantly back in the day, and one that I loved, had aged poorly. It's a trend I've noticed with a lot of movies I've revisited over the years. Thankfully, there were two names which ensured that my experience was in good hands: Bill Lord and Chris Miller. Need I say more? These two managed to make the best Spider-Man movie and make two successful comedy films that would have flopped if handled by gutless filmmakers. But while Into the Spider-Verse is the movie that everyone is talking about, and is a movie I want to make a video on soon, I feel like we need to give the LEGO Movie a little bit of love. Not a lot of people wanted to give it a chance since it looked like a basic, forgettable, Illumination type movie. But it's much more than that. So let's assemble the journey, shall we? Animation. First, hats off to all the animators that worked on the LEGO Movie. It's what immediately sets it apart from all those other CGI shorts you occasionally see on a DVD rack at Walmart. Stop motion gives it that magic look that creates a balance. It's just authentic enough that it looks like you could have made this adventure as a kid, while also having all the charm of a Wes Anderson movie, vivid color palettes and all. What makes it even more impressive is that they actually built all the environments you see in the movie, going through a variety of designs, collecting all the bricks necessary to create them, and finally, building each one by hand. With or without instructions, I'm not sure. The results, everything looks awesome. Haha, I know, very meta. And each one has a distinct style too. Bricksburg, it's a neat homage to those classic LEGO City sets. The Old West, it's a spunky, charismatic desert. Cloud Cuckoo Land, pure sugar rush.
I hate this place.
Frankly, it's a crime that these worlds are so masterfully designed. Complete CGI renders wouldn't have made them as impactful. But you might say animation isn't everything, and that's a fair point. Just because a movie looks impressive visually doesn't automatically make it great. There's been plenty of examples in the past. You'd think that the story would take a backseat to the presentation, considering how big that pitfall is. You gotta remember that the trailer was a little underwhelming for many people, but this film automatically reassures you within the opening alone. Assembling the story. Alright, let me ask you something. How did you think this movie would start? Did you think it would start with a long exposition sequence? Perhaps a musical number? Well, actually, we get both of these ideas in the first 5 minutes. But this scene.
He is coming. Cover your butt.
Cover the what?
It's silly, but it works. It perfectly establishes the absurd prophecy while also being self-aware.
A special one? What a bunch of hippy-dippy baloney.
Something that also applies to our protagonist, Emmett. In his morning routine, the writers get his personality across smoothly. He's a cookie-cutter LEGO citizen. He has the basic face you see on almost every minifigure, and most of all, he follows the instructions.
Step 1. Breathe.
Even down to the music he listens to, which leads to some funny interactions with the world around him.
Drink overpriced coffee.
Here you go. That's $37.
Awesome.
This also applies to Bricksburg. It's a completely cheery and average LEGO town. It hardly looks like something a wide-eyed kid would build. What's funny is that even if you took the most average citizens of Bricksburg in the background, they still look more unique than him. This makes it all the more entertaining when you get to see how much of an amateur Emmett is when he's forced to become a master builder. His friends help him find his identity and break down the barriers he's so used to. And believe me, Each one of them brings something to the playset, building the characters. Now, before you say anything, yes, this is as random as it gets for a list of characters in a film called The Lego Movie. Batman, a 1980s spaceman, a unicorn cat hybrid. But yet, that's why it works. Be honest, it's the type of adventure the same wide-eyed kid from before would make. The clash begins with the normal appearance of Bricksburg when Wildstyle enters the picture. She's the anti-Emmett. She uses her surroundings to build motorbikes, weapons. In other words, anything but the status quo. Her bold, outside-the-box thinking contrasts with his, and it continues throughout the film. On the other hand, there's also controlling villains, most notably with the main antagonist, Lord Business. He goes way too far in demanding total perfection. He hates anything that even looks remotely bizarre or different, preferring instead micromanaged utopias.
Ma, scoot 2 steps into the right. Pa, whenever I talk to Ma, you start to move?
Sorry.
Get back to where you were! Pa, you just moved and you just wrecked it. You wrecked it!
Notice anything so far? Each of these characters represents a different creative mindset. Even if you take away the context of the movie, you still get the point. Creativity and teamwork aren't mutually exclusive. Throughout Emmett's quest to be a master builder, again and again he tries to live up to his friend's standards, often with disappointing results. It's only until he learns to be competent in his ideas that he saves the day. But wait, isn't this idea forgotten after the scene is over? Isn't it easy for it to just be swept under the rug and never mentioned again? Well, actually, it plays into the heart and soul of the Lego Movie, which is what makes it stand out and be legendary. A sense of wonder. I don't care what you think about Legos or animated movies. You can't deny that there's a valuable aspect that this movie has. Wonder. It's that magical feeling you get when you become immersed in the world a film creates. You become so charmed with the characters and style that you just accept what happens next, because it feels like it's integral to the adventure. Most notably, the irrelevant humor works because it's organic to the plot. It complements it.
I am the computer.
Cool. Talking computer. Please disable the shield systems.
Of course. There are no movies in your area with that title.
From the quick gags in certain scenes to the wholesome sequences with Emmett in the game, it's clear right away that this has genuine imagination put into it.
Business. Numbers. Is this working? Yes.
It doesn't use celebrities for the sake of getting adults to watch it with their kids. It uses people like Chris Pratt and Elizabeth Banks to be in this because they give it their all to be kids again. This isn't a half-assed voiceover for a throwaway project. They actually have fun when they play around with their characters. Something that's not easy to show in an animated film. But against all the odds, charisma oozes out of each set piece and minifigure. Which is what elevates the comedy and makes the emotional scenes, well, emotional. But most of all, the voices and craftsmanship come together to tell a message. Remember what I said earlier about there being an infinite amount of ways you can use Legos? Well, Lord and Miller take this idea a step further by asking the question, does creativity even matter if your ideas aren't valued? I'm pretty sure most of us at one point feared ridicule for our creativity. That feeling of zero confidence when you share your ideas or creations with others. I don't think there's a better example of this than in the climactic standoff between Lord Business and Emmett. Their clash highlights not only the differences between both of their mindsets, but also Emmett's arc. Throughout the movie, Lord Business is constantly shown to be close-minded against the idea of master builders, viewing them as a threat to his influence, when actually they're simply sharing ideas. Still, he refuses to accept this and frames it as an insult to his creations. But Emmett manages to make him reconsider with just one sentence.
You don't have to be the bad guy.
Throughout the Lego Movie, we're made to believe that only certain characters can have the ability to build amazing things. while others lack the talent to do so. But Emmett ignores this established belief and convinces him that his ideas matter. He can bring something new to the table, regardless of what everyone else thinks.
And you are capable of amazing things. Because you are the special. The prophecy is made up, but it's also true. It's about all of us. Right now, it's about you.
I don't even have to say anything. This right here is pure cinema. Is it a little cheesy? Yes, but it ties up the narrative that it hinted at throughout. Not a bad message for a movie about plastic bricks. It also gives us a satisfying ending. Topping it all off with a funny foreshadow towards the sequel, and you get one of the most charming, genuine films of all time. It's worthy of being called a masterpiece and being part of the Untouchables. 5 out of 5 Lego bricks. Now go watch it, friends. Peace.
I think I got it, but just in case, tell me the whole thing again. I wasn't listening.